Welcome back. It is the NTV Press Box as we continue with the biggest headlines from the Sports Live. We're live at the Kampala Serena Hotel. We're at the pool area, so that is where the Press Box always comes your way from. As we also invite you to come and join us here at Kampala Serena Hotel. I mean, you want the best service. Let's be honest about it. If you go to a hotel in this country, you want the best service. You want the best food as well, and you find all that at the Kampala Serena Hotel. There's Premier League action tonight. It's live on DSTV, one of our sponsors. Spurs up against Manchester City will kick off at 11 p.m. and we're also proudly powered by Guinness. On the show tonight is a 22-year-old Adrian Casito, man who plays for the Cobs. They are fresh from lifting their 7th Uganda Cup trophy. And just before we come on air, you know, we've been having our own banter here with him, and he's not happy. He's not happy with the production team. He's not happy with the presenter of the Press Box, because he says we shouldn't be telling people his real age. He lies to everyone that he's 30 years of age. So every time, every time Adrian Casito is going up in terms of lying about his age, Asha Komugisha is coming down. Asha
I
has
think
been
this is
telling people
personal. You're attacking me, Andrew.
she's 24. Every time Asha tells me she's 24, I remember Taribo West. Taribo West, the Nigerian guy.
Yeah.
He said he was 25, yet he was 37.
He was
So,
48 actually when he was playing at
Yeah?
Inter Milan. Wasn't he?
Andrew, how old are you?
Adrian, welcome to the show, man. Thank you very much for being here. It's such a pleasure. First of all, happy birthday, because we're just hours away from your birthday. But more interestingly, it's been a good season in the Uganda Cup for you so far. A good run, competitive matches. You guys are champions now. Tell me, how competitive has it been, and how good has this Cobs side you're playing with is?
It all started before the Uganda Cup. We started by promising ourselves we are going to win the Uganda Cup. We got a couple of new players, got a couple of forwards, Musaja, a couple of experienced backline players, Joseph Aredo, got Pius Ogena from Cabras in Kenya. And the players were really psyched up, so I guess that's what helped us come through.
And you're a utility player. Later on in the show, we shall be picking phone calls, by the way, not later on, in this very segment. So in case you want to call us, I'll be giving you the number very shortly, so you can talk to Casito as well and everything Ugandan rugby. But how competitive has it been? I mean, for me, that's where the issue is. How competitive has it been? You guys beat the Pirates in the final. We know how good Pirates can be. How good has it been for you guys to get to the final? How competitive has the Uganda Cup been for you guys? Has it been a smooth run?
No, I can't say it was that smooth, because the semi-final itself was really a tight one. We struggled to beat the Hima Heathens. Then getting into the final, we knew we had to do whatever it takes to win it. Pirates wasn't an easy side, so I believe it wasn't an easy tournament.
Give me a quick feel, and I'm not overly focusing on your age, to be honest, but I like youngsters who play at that level, because that means the future is way bigger. How do you get to Cobs? How do you get from, being a young rugby player to being recognized by Cobs? What is that journey like? Where were you spotted? And at what point did you say, you know what? Instead of kicking the ball, I'm actually going to throw it?
I started playing rugby way back in school. That was in 2009 at St. Mary's College, Kisubi. That was in my senior 2. I played up to my senior 6, and when I left SMAC, I joined the junior side of Cobs, that's box. But after like a few weeks, I was called to the senior side. And yeah, I guess that's where it all started.
And Adrian, you obviously talked of the semi-final there being difficult, but the quarter-final was also difficult. You guys did not actually score any try in that quarter-final against Mongas at the House of Pain. But James Ijonga kicked all your points, and unfortunately or fortunately, after those heroics, somehow, his kicking boots went a wall. Place kicking has been terribly difficult for most of the players, and in the final, you are forced, to step up to the plate and kick, points that ultimately, proved to be quite pivotal for the Cobs. My question to you, obviously, is revolving around kicking. You know where I'm coming from, because the last time you kicked, I think, was in a final, as in 2014 during the Protector Rugby Super Series. Yeah. When I talked to you after you had won Uganda, actually, the Africa Men's Sevens, you told me that you had forgotten, what it felt like, to kick. So what was it? What was going through your mind when you asked your captain to kick those points on Saturday? Because Chirabo had failed, Ijongat had failed, and you stepped up and you delivered.
During the game, I had earlier on talked to one of my teammates, James Ijongat. I had asked him why he wasn't kicking. He had told me Chirabo had asked to take the kicks, and he was actually missing all the kicks. So a few minutes into the game, Ijongat got injured, so they had to take him off. And Ivan had been missing all the kicks, so I walked up to him and told him, boss, you need to put in these kicks because it's a final. It was after I missed a certain kick, I was like, I'm taking over. So I put in the kicks.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Adrian, playing against Pirates, that's a Legends derby, but then also the style in which Pirates dominated last season. You guys definitely needed this win. How motivated were you? Like, how important was it for you to win that game against Pirates?
That final against Pirates, it meant a lot to all the players because we really had to prove a point to our fans, our sponsors, because it's not easy to get a sponsor. You mess up, you can easily lose your sponsor. And
Sponsor, you mean
the
sports sponsor?
yes,
Ah,
Betway,
Kabura.
Betway, our sponsor, plus the club at large, and our prestige, our pride. We really had to win the game. Yeah.
I mean, tell me, we're going to continue talking about the Cobs' victory moving forward, but I'll also keep jumping to you playing with the national side. And I want a personal experience, because the reason I ask you this is there's so many youngsters out there who want to play rugby now, who are watching you and want to be that good a player. Take me through that experience of you being called to the national side, and I really jumped the Cobs, I'll get back to it shortly. Take me through the experience of being called to the national side for the first time, and what this really was for you, and how easy it is to settle in at 22.
My first time to actually play for the senior side, that was the sevens team, was in 2016. I didn't expect the call up. I had played well in the local sevens. I got a call up. We went to Kenya, played and won the Africa Cup. It's a whole different experience.
Yes.
Because playing at the local stage is very different from playing out there. So it's always a great feeling being called to represent the country.
And then you travel away from home, man. You recently were in Tunisia. You traveled to the biggest tournaments out there. That must change how you look at rugby. That must change. Do people still treat you as a youngster in camp, or you're just another team player?
No, okay, it actually depends on the team, because in the sevens side, everyone is literally the same. But of course, in the 15s side, there are some players who are more senior than others. So, but if you keep on playing well, you at the end of the day, you also considered a senior player.
Yeah, man, as close to a national team call-up as well, but interesting.
Yeah, Dul. Wow. Well done. Well, Adrian, I don't know if you remember, but yes, your debut 2016 at the Africa Cup, actually Joel and I covered that at the Kasarani, was it the Kasarani Stadium? I remember how you were really fitting in with that team, because those are young players, Philip, all those guys, they're your edge mates. But do you remember those games, the final, Namibia, those were very tense games, I should say, but you played, to your very best. Can you tell me, when you came back home, how did you feel? Did you feel like, I need to go back to that stage?
What should I say? Actually, when we played in that tournament, when we reached the finals, okay, by the time we reached the final, everyone on the team believed we were going to win the tournament. But when we came back to Uganda, we as a team just didn't know how big it was to actually win the Africa Cup. It was after a couple of months that it actually started sinking in that we actually won Africa Cup. So we struggled the following year. We defended the trophy, and this year somehow things didn't go away. We came short in the semi-finals and lost it.
What happened this year? What do you think you didn't do right this year? Because we're all expectant, my friend.
for a three-pitch.
I should say we're just unlucky. We're just unlucky, but
Because
given
that-
another chance, I think we'd win it.
But you talk of being unlucky there, and many observers have come up and said that we're a little too predictable. Uganda, by we I mean Uganda. Asha, I know we
Madoy,
could mean
that's
something else.
uncalled
But no, but I mean we're too predictable. We rely a lot on individualism. They say that if you take out Philip Wokorach, if you deny him the clean ball, Uganda is done and dusted. Is that, first of all, the right assessment of Uganda? Do you think, they are taking away your glory, some of you players? Do you think Uganda is much more than just Philip Wokorach? Sevens.
As a player who has played for the 7th side, even the 15th side as well, okay, talking about the 7th side, I believe the team can actually play well without any player. It's just that probably those players are better than the people who actually play their positions, so they end up taking up
The limelight.
yes, exactly. But even when they're taken out, I believe we can still perform and be very competitive.
It's a very big team sport.
Yes, and again, of course, it would be a big disservice if we did not revisit how you helped us, win or defend the 7th title here on home soil. Very, very interesting final, low-scoring final against Zimbabwe. As I said, they had taken out Philip Wokorach, was out of the equation, and the buzzer goes, and we all think that Zimbabwe is going to run away with this, and there, another Wokorach, Michael Wokorach, pops up and he beats one or two men and offloads to you. And I'm sure you must have seen, your name written in the back pages, didn't you? When you are running for the white chalk, didn't you see your name being written in the stars?
Yes, I saw that. At first I wasn't really excited because it just kept on coming back to me. In my head I was like, we actually won this because everyone really put their body on the line to see that we win the tournament.
You weren't excited seeing your picture and your name on the back page? I'll tell you something good. First time I was in the papers, I bought 3 copies. 3 copies. One I put in the living room, one I was staying with my father then. One in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in the corridor. Just in case you didn't go to the kitchen that day, you had to use the corridor. So you had to see the paper as well. But I'm thinking that was important. But quickly take me through how this works. You come into rugby. You can start playing for one of the biggest clubs in the country. This means there are folks you look up to who are going to help you grow. So I want to know those folks you looked at and said, I want to be like this guy. I want to be like this guy. But more interestingly, how much help, how much support system do you have at club level in Ugandan rugby at your age? Because you're coming in, you're a new kid on the block and everyone expects you to perform. But who helps you soak all that pressure in? Who helped you soak all that pressure in?
In Ugandan rugby, I believe it depends on the club you're in, plus how best you can talk to the people in your club. Personally, when I was still in school, I looked up to Justin Chimono a lot. But now, after I joined Cobs, there were a couple of guys who were helping me out with guys who would always be on my neck. How far with school? Why aren't you coming for training? What things like that? It was Brian Odong and so many other teammates. So I think it all depends on the club you're in, because not all the clubs are like my club, because my club, as long as you're playing in Cobs, people will want to know what you're doing. People will want to know everything about you, so they always look out for you and make sure you're doing well.
So Cobs is the best club to play in.
Yes, I
Uganda.
believe it's the best club.
I'm quite surprised that you named Justin Kimono. There's a rivalry between Smack and Namilyango. Isn't it weird that a Smackist would look up to someone from Ngo?
The Weavers and
Yes.
Yes, I understand,
the
but
Fumblers.
at some point you have to accept that someone is actually really good.
Yeah.
Back then when we were in school, okay, he was so many classes ahead of me, so every time I would watch him play, he was really good, and I just had to appreciate. So
He had a
you
great
have to
debut
forget about
against
those
Zimbabwe.
those
He had
Look, Adrian, it's
differences.
important you come here, you talk Cobbs, it's important you come here, you talk the Cranes, but we're also really interested in profiling you as a player in terms of you moving forward. And this is a question every Ghanaian journalist asks, so I'm not going to reinvent the wheel now. Next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I don't know. I hope to continue with. Okay, I hope I'll still be playing rugby, God willing, and also my profession. I did Bachelor of Statistics at Makerere University, so I hope things go on well in the near future, and probably I can multitask.
How happy are the parents that now you studied that and now you're playing rugby? Do they say, you need to give this list time, go? Because we know rugby players who have retired and have actually done well in their careers. And I'll be honest with you, Ghanaian sport doesn't pay the most amount of money. So at some point, you've got to look at a different career. So is it that for you in terms of education? Or are you saying, you know what, I'm going to push rugby until I probably go professional and go international?
No, actually, my parents are very supportive of whatever I want to do. They think I'm mature enough to make the right decisions. But me as a person, I look out there and see what's best for me. Rugby has helped me a lot, so given the chance to play, even if I'm working, I think I would keep on playing the sport.
Okay, I mean that's the reason I stopped playing sport, because I had to continue working.
So, Adrian, the new season is upon us, the 15th season. It's blipping on the radar. And Cobbs, as you said, it beefed up quite a bit. Edmond Tumusime, who is your backs coach, I've been saying this quite a bit. He has an embarrassment of riches at his disposal. And actually, I believe, he suffers, 1 or 2 migraines when he's trying to name that back line. Could you first of all talk us through that back line? At times you're playing as a fullback. That's the preferred position of Aredo. Aredo, I've seen at times is being pushed out to play as an outside center. Just how is that rivalry, and is it going to make you guys better? The Cobbs back line, is it going to make it better? Because this final that we're talking about, it was won by the forwards, wasn't it? Yeah, it wasn't you, the backs. I know you won the man of the match award, but the forwards were the unsung heroes.
Yes, as a player and the team, we actually believe with all the competition in the team, we're going to become a much better side. And actually, Aredo's favorite position is fullback. Lately, my favorite position is also fullback, and the coaches can actually see how best they can utilize all the players to make sure we win big games or any kind of game. And given the current, I don't know, we can lose some players to the national team. So with so many players, we can actually be able to come off with such issues when some players are called to the national team.
I like how you said lately, your favorite position. We all know you as a versatile player. How important has that been for you? And is it something a coach has told you, keep all your options open, or is it something you've come up and said, I'm going to keep all my options open? Because I also know players who reach a point and say, you know what, I'm going to focus on this position, make sure I'm perfect in it. That's the best way I'm going to stick in the team. You still seem to be all over the place, my friend.
No, it actually depends on where you're playing.
Yeah.
At national team, those guys call you, if you're playing at a certain position, they'll call you to play that position at the national team. But at my club, I'm very willing to play any position as long as we're going to win the game. That's what matters at the end of the day. But
And your rivals, who do you think are going to be your main rivals for the league title? Obviously, I would expect Pirates to be at the top of the pile as the defending champions. But have you seen something, say, in the Hima Heathens, something in the Plascon Mongers, to have you, running scared?
I believe the team has gotten a couple of experienced players. We actually don't undermine any opponents, even if it's the side people think is the smallest side. But if we keep on doing the way we did during the Uganda Cup, and players having all the hype we had I believe we're not going to find any difficulties in the coming games.
Okay, I think I should go back to the national side. Asha wanted to come in, but shortly I should go back to the national side because I'm quite more interested in the development of rugby in Uganda vis-a-vis the rest of the African continent as well. How competitive it gets for you guys when you go out there. So you've had an opportunity of seeing the competition here locally. Club level, you've seen your national teammates battle at different clubs as well. You've traveled away from home. Give me a general assessment of African rugby today, where you've gone. It's funny. I'm asking for an African rugby assessment from a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
But
22, please.
sorry,
Still
22-year-old.
Yeah.
Give me a general feel of your assessment of African rugby today. Wherever you've been, how excited are you as a Ugandan, us moving forward?
Seeing the way the sport is growing very fast in Africa, I believe we as Uganda also need to really work hard, and I don't know how best we're going to do it, but I believe now, like the 7s and 15 sides, we just need to play in more tournaments if we really want to become better. Because if you keep on playing against the locally based players, to some extent you're not going to become better. That's what I think, because you need to play against people who don't know you and people who you do not know to become better.
Okay.
Adrian, what are some of the lessons you can say you learned from the tournaments, the Africa Sevens? Like, because you had won 2 straight tournaments, everyone thought, look, Uganda is the team to beat. And then you go back thinking not necessarily that the games will be easy, but then you're taken off the top. What are some of the lessons you think you're going to work on to make sure, you become better and then come back and sort of, maybe win again the African title?
One, I think, is discipline. We as the entire team that is representing the nation, players have to really be disciplined, because if one player decides to do anything funny, you end up costing your teammates. Then 2, I believe guys have to work for each other, because sometimes you can play and you feel like some guys are not working as hard as you're working.
Yeah.
And of course you can't really attack someone and complain, but it gets back to you after the tournament is done and you're like, oh, we actually could have won this if this and this had happened. Then I don't know. I just feel like guys just need to believe in themselves, because Uganda has a bunch of talented players. We have so many guys who are talented, but probably they don't believe in themselves, so maybe we end up failing to achieve what we want to get at the end of the day.
And I want, as we conclude, Adrian, every time we host someone, I want them to give some advice. And I think Asha's question was really linking to that, but I want you to expound on that, because you have so many youngsters who want to be like you, a fellow youngster, or you have so many youngsters who also want to play rugby at the highest level. But some will tell you, I was in a bar with my friend the other day, I was doing this, something that is probably not best for sport. How do you keep your discipline at that age? Focus on the rugby, focus on the gym, focus on training, grow as a person. What would you tell a youngster out there? Because there's so many youngsters who want to play rugby today. But what kind of routine must they follow? What kind of behavior, what kind of discipline must they have if they'd be as good as you?
I believe you just have to know what you want, because if you wake up and you're like, hey, look here, I have to make the national team, we have to win, then I believe you're going to be motivated to work really hard to achieve that.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah,
Your advice is really short, but I think I really understand. Adrian, thank you very, very much for coming to the press box tonight. We wish you all the best. We wish you the celebrations continue fine, and of course the new season is coming up as well. Happy birthday tomorrow. Keep those celebrations going. I'm sure you're going to get more phone calls now for those birthday drinks, which no one expected, because you had lied to everyone that it wasn't your birthday today. But thank you very much for coming around today, and a pleasure having you on the show. I like his advice. He says, always know what you want. You know what? I know what I want right now. I want to cross over to Joel Kamadi to give us what's happening with the King of Moyo. Joel.